It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast show on this Thursday morning, a bright and sunshiny start wherever you are. At least I'm giving it to you in terms of a smile, no matter what the weather looks like in your part of the country. Now, let's talk mental health. Being young is, of course, seen as a gift that one should take pride in and really enjoy while you have it. However, young people also do suffer burdens, which often go unnoticed. Alarmingly, 65% of young people in South Africa stated that they had some form of mental health issue, but did not pursue help. And today, we seek to address mental health as it relates to young people and, of course, the challenges that they face. So our panel consists this morning of author Nthabise Ngwepe. We also have social worker Mastura Salasa Schäfers, as well as Dr. Ingrid Daniels, who is the CEO at Cape Mental Health. And we would love to hear from you as well, in terms of you letting us know what you are doing to look after your mental health. Share your voice notes with us on 063 408 8863. Ladies, thank you very much for joining us at such an important time during the month of October, where we are creating awareness around issues of mental health for everyone, although this morning, of course, we are focusing on young people. But a very good morning to all of you.
Good morning to you.
Dr. Daniels, what have you found is happening out there? I mean, we do say that the conversation has been opened. You look on social media and people are talking about issues of mental health, but yet we find ourselves, in a situation where it's very difficult to kind of talk about, to engage in, to seek help. But if we were just to take a back seat and first reflect on the awareness that we are creating during Mental Health Awareness Month and why it is so important.
Yes, thank you. Good morning to you again and good morning to the viewers. Mental Health Awareness Month is of critical importance for us to raise awareness, and as you said, specifically around the mental health of our children and our adolescents or young people. It's been an extremely difficult 2.5 years as our young people and children have had to grapple with and deal with the challenges that the COVID-19 pandemic presented to them. And we saw during this time how the social determinants of mental health just significantly increased during this time. Our children had their schools disrupted. We saw food scarcity. We saw an increase in poverty. We saw huge unemployment and loss. Many of our children suffered the loss of parents and loved ones during this time. It's been extremely challenging, starting off already from a disadvantaged position before COVID-19, when we saw significant already increases in common mental disorders amongst our children and our youth.
Mastura, as a social worker, you are almost at the coalface in terms of working with young people and working with all members of society addressing their mental health. But if we were to just put the spotlight on young people for a second, what are some of the main issues that you hear from them when they speak to you about what they're struggling with?
Okay, so I think with the pandemic, specifically with the pandemic, I think it imposed a lot of uncertainty to everybody. And I think that the uncertainty worldwide was kind of bringing a lot of anxiety to everybody. And anxiety in parents and adults caused, I think it was kind of like a double, they felt it emotionally intense, because there was uncertainty. The people that they looked up to, the people that would give them guidance didn't have answers. And so that caused a lot of anxiety. And during the pandemic, during lockdown specifically, I think that there was a lack of financial stability, lack of emotional stability. They were isolated, socially isolated, and it just brought about fear all over.
And we all experience that kind of uncertainty and fear as young people back in our days, if I can call it that, as you're transitioning into adulthood and trying to formulate a picture of what your future might look like, and then you're thrust into this pandemic. So a whole bunch of factors that play a role in this rise in mental health issues. But Nthabise, if I were to talk to you about The Mending of a Broken Vessel, which is your book in which you share about your struggles with suicide. Take us through that and your journey.
My first attempt at taking my life, I was 18. And as Mastuda says, you know, the fear. In my instance, what brought that about was the collapse of what I thought was a lifelong relationship. So imagine at the age of 18 thinking I'm in love and that is the love of my life. I'm a child, I'm not yet able to comprehend even what is the concept of love. And, you know, for me, that marked the beginning, you know, of an emotional roller coaster. Another attempt at the age of 24, at the collapse of a marriage, a subsequent attempt at the age of 27. So relational issues are at the core of mental wellness, you know, be it employment space, be it how we relate at school, particularly for the young people, how we relate at school. The issues of bullying come into play, the issues of how we relate with our parents, the dynamics of lack of understanding between parental figures and children, the lack of communication, and a sort of abandonment where the young people feel, you know, even with the existence of parents, some still feel abandoned and not understood. And that is what I personally observe. And despite the fact that, you know, mine were mainly relational issues, I can still say that the importance, you know, we cannot place too much emphasis on knowing yourself, filling the void of our children with some concrete substance of who they are. That comes to the fore. When there is no voice to speak to them, then their own voice rises up within them and validates them.
What a very, very powerful message indeed, and we hope to carry that throughout our conversation, which will continue very shortly. And in the meantime, we would love to hear from you as well. Please send us your voice notes on perhaps sharing some of your stories of what you have struggled with, and especially if you found those tools that have helped you to cope, to strengthen your own mental resolve and your mental health as you move through life. 063-408-8863 is the number, and we'll be back with our panel very shortly.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. Happy Thursday to you, and as always, thank you so much for joining us at the start of a brand new day. We're back to our discussion about youth mental health, featuring author Nthabiseng Mwepe, social worker Mastura Salasa Schafers, as well as peer supporter and youth ambassador Clement Peterson, and Dr. Ingrid Daniels, CEO at Cape Mental Health. And earlier on, we explored some of the negative effects of not reaching out when suffering with mental health or emotional baggage. And we now delve a little bit deeper into the knock-on effects of poor mental health. And we ask questions about how you are looking after your own mental health. And please do share your thoughts with us on 063-408-8863. Kingsman sent us a voice note. Let's have a quick listen, or we'll do that shortly. Mastura, if we were to kind of focus a bit on some of the mental health issues that affect young people during their formative years. We heard from Nthabiseng earlier on about relationally. That was her issue at the time. But if we were to paint a bit of a broader picture, what are some of those issues that affect young people in their formative years?
Okay, so I think that social media plays a huge role. So there's a kind of expectation to be perfect. So the self-image, some young persons have problems with self-image. They have problems, or not problems, let's say challenges. They have challenges with relationships. They have challenges with concentration. They have challenges with real emotions, moods, and emotions. And I think that we kind of take for granted that they're young and they should be resilient. But younger people, they have real issues. And if we think about back then, we had different type of issues and we thought that was really intense.
That's true.
And it's the same for them.
Yeah. And the thing about social media, Clement, I'm sure you'll agree as well, as a young person who's probably had, you know, you've got your social media interaction with your friends out there, is that it really blows things up, because whatever it is that's happening in your life, however you feel about yourself, is multiplied by the factor of how many followers you have, or how many people are following the person talking about you as well. When you are working with young people, what are they saying about some of the issues that they're facing with regards to social media and how it affects their lives?
Well, with social media, with psychosocial disability, there's internal and external factors. Okay, so social media is an external factor. They create expectations that influences people to fit into an unrealistic mold. Okay, and it can affect your self-esteem. That is already fragile as a young teen. But but these things they create on social media are unrealistic and it can affect your well-being.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Dr. Daniels, I mean, that might manifest itself in different kinds of behavior, right?
Yeah.
So at what point, and especially we're talking about, people who are there to support a young person in their formative years as well, at what point do you distinguish between behavior that is suitable for a certain kind of age category, because hormones are at play as well, versus behavior of a nature that could be and should be of concern from a mental health perspective?
Yeah, so, I mean, young people are, as we said, facing multiple challenges. And families and parents need to be particularly observant.
Yes.
Because often young people will display their mental health challenges by behavior.
Right.
Adults will talk about, I'm feeling depressed. They often don't, children and adolescents often don't have the words
Right.
to explain
Right.
what they're feeling. So therefore, it actually will present in behavior. And these behaviors would be sometimes uncharacteristic of that young person, such as substance abuse, such as behavior such as oversleeping, not getting up, isolating, not wanting to socialize, problems with eating.
Yeah.
Particularly young girls, eating disorders. We see a lot of that coming to the fore, or overeating. Undereating or overeating. And heightened anxiety about maybe issues that shouldn't provoke that level of anxiety. And we also see absenteeism in schools.
Yes.
We see their academic abilities drop from what was normal to below par. And so a number of these behaviors, we start saying, this is uncharacteristic of this young person. And this was a scholar with very good grades. Suddenly, there's underperformance. And that already is an alarm bell going off.
Yeah.
Something has happened. And what is it?
Yeah.
But often, we talk a lot more about mental health and mental well-being as a result of COVID-19 in a way. It was a great leveler. It affected all of us.
True.
In different ways and different degrees. Young people still find it difficult because, we talk about social media and having to have this image of being perfect, having this image of I'm cool, I can do it. But beneath the mask, we take off that mask, we find the fragility and the vulnerability of our young people.
Absolutely. The filters we use to cover up so much of what
Exactly.
we're actually experiencing on the inside. And all too often, I think we want to see our young people out there having this energy and this burst of energy for life. They are in the glorious years of their lives, but how do you encourage that in a healthy way? And Tabi Singh, I want you to think about that a little bit because you do also address that in your book. And of course, we'd love to engage with you as well. So 063 408 8863, send us your voice notes and let us know how have you found the tools to cope in an ever stressful world, an ever demanding world in order to be resilient so that we can help each other as a community.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. It is your Feel Good Breakfast Show. It is a Thursday morning and we are talking mental health as it relates to young people during this month of October, where we not only spread hope, but we also shed light on the issues around mental health. Our panel this morning includes author Nthabise Mwepe, social worker Mastura Salasa Shafers, as well as peer supporter and youth ambassador Clement Peterson, and Dr. Ingrid Daniels, the CEO at Cape Mental Health. They are our experts, but of course we love your contributions as well. We've encouraged your voice notes to be sent to 063 408 8863, and Vessel sent us a voice note. Good morning, Vessel.
Hi, this is Vessel. I got personality disorder. How do you live with that?
Thank you very much for sharing that with us, Vessel. So I'll put that to you, Dr. Daniels. Personality disorders, I'm assuming quite a broad issue, not a one kind of single line matter. So how does one approach that kind of question?
Yeah. Thank you to Vessel for sharing with us, first of all. as you said, personality disorders, it's a very broad category and there are different types of personality disorders. We don't like talking about personality disorders with children and youth and adolescents because we believe that children and adolescents still have quite a lot of time to deal with behavior issues, and we don't like labeling quite that early.
Right, right.
But the best way to deal with it is, first of all, I think Wessel's he's talking about it.
Fantastic, absolutely.
Great.
That's where we want to start.
That's where we want to start. The way to manage that is, I think it's important that Wessel contacts us, that he sees a social worker, because he's going to need interventions. He's going to need counselling. He's going to need to identify what are those behaviours, because it's about behaviour, that impacts on his life and affects others.
Yes.
Often personality disorders affects others. But the fact that Wessel knows he has a personality disorder, we'd like to obviously screen that a little bit more and identify what specific personality are we talking about, because the various types will display different types of behaviour as well.
Excellent.
So I would encourage Wessel to contact Cape Mental Health. Our services are free, and we'd like to help him on his journey. He's already got insight, he's already identified that he has a personality disorder. Absolutely. As I said, we don't like labelling very early on, and we'd like to explore that with you.
Wessel, thank you very much. We really do appreciate that. And speaking about the behaviours that we were referencing earlier on, encouraging the right kind of behaviour that will lead to stronger and better mental health. Ntabi saying in your books, as much as you share about your journey, you also share the positive side and how you have found those tools and the mechanisms in your daily life to bring about positivity, to bring about vitality and energy, right? And you've also got a book that is titled Maintaining Your Joy, a Journal for Daily Positive Living. Let's talk a little bit about these ideas that you share.
Absolutely. The vision is to you know, any individual to cope on a daily basis as you encounter challenges. And the first aspect that I deal with is adjusting the lens of your mind. You know, life is perception as you see it. And if everything is gloomy around you in your mind, you're most likely not to have any positive outlook about the world, about the community, about the society that you're in. So how about instead of, you know, adopting a gloomy approach, instead adjusting the lens of your mind and saying, hang on, you know, if I see it this way, then it's definitely going to be this way. You know, tilt it a bit on a daily basis, in fact. And that is what I start with in January. On a month-to-month, you know, I take individuals, you know, on a specific focal point. One of the focal points for the month of May, for example, is taking proper care of yourself beyond the exterior. We are so fixated with how we look. We're so fixated in presenting a perfect, Ntabi saying, the image out there. But how does Ntabi saying feel on the inside? We don't encourage conversations enough, you know, about what is going on within me. It's more important for people to love me, the likes that I have, but what is really going on within me. So a practical example would be, how are you? And I'm fine, and I'm not really fine. You know, let's take the effort to say, hang on a minute, I need to be heard. Can you speak to me? Can you listen to what I'm going through for a minute? That's a culture we need to encourage. And lastly, what has worked for me, identifying a passion. It may change with time, you know. For me right now, it's gardening. Next year, maybe it's baking. Tomorrow, maybe it's something else that gives you a purpose to look forward to on a daily basis.
Absolutely. And I hope that this also feeds into the conversation of the people that are around those who might be suffering with certain issues, that you do encourage things like, hey, let's find out what your passion is. How about we do that over the weekend? And in that way, we can find out, you know, what people are going through and how to help them manage these situations. And then, of course, very quickly, we are celebrating Mental Health Awareness Month. The festival's happening this weekend. Is there a way, Dr. Daniels, that people can get involved and help?
Yes, absolutely. So we're very excited about the kite flying event on Saturday, the 9th of October, at Melkbos Strand, with Table Mountain as a backdrop. The skies will be decorated with the most amazing kites. And so how people can help is they can come out and enjoy the event. It's a moment to take care of your mental health. You have to look to the sky to see the wonders of these kites. And when you look up, You know, you're also reminded that kites soar against adverse winds. And the way they could also support us is by donating to Cape Mental Health, because we provide free mental health services. 95% of South Africans have no access to mental health care. We're providing it. So please come along, enjoy the day. Friends, family, young and old, and anyone in between.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to make a turn, so hopefully I'll see you there on the weekend. But in the meantime, maybe you want to bring your own kite. I haven't made a kite in a very long time, and we're about to learn to make one right now.